been a while since we had a conversation. Context has changed. Team has changed. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How are you? Congratulations on your success.
As we talked about off air, nothing yet.
I think your temperament is a lot better this year. We like you, and that could be a metric that shows why your channel is growing so much this year because your temperament is so much better.
So let's talk about the offseason and the work you guys did. What was the plan? What were your days like? What was the communication like with the Toronto Raptors? How involved were they, etc.?
I was up here for the last Chicago game. He took that pretty tough. I mean, as we all did, because we thought that we were gonna win that one. After the season, yeah, he texted me some things that he wanted to work on and improve upon. The Raptors sent me a lot of stuff that they wanted him to work on via email. I mean, I was formulating the things that I was seeing as well. Then, I mean, we got right back to work. I mean, I think it was maybe a week after the season, we was right back, going every single day, probably like 4 or 5 days a week. So it started really fast, and I think the biggest thing that we all wanted him to do is just trust his 3 point shot more and just shoot more threes, just because we knew that that would be able to, not only give space to the other guys on the team, but also make defenses play him. At 25 feet, and we all know that if they have to play him at 25 feet, it's going to be a long night for someone. So, that was our goal, was just to improve his all around guard skills, because we, especially once we knew that Fred wasn't coming back, that he would have a lot more ball handling responsibilities and different things like that. So just, the main thing was just to make sure that we improved upon his 3 point shooting, and then I tried to identify spots on the floor where he could have something to go to, wherever he's at on the floor. So that was pretty much it. And the Raptors would check in weekly, make sure, what were we doing. When Rico was still on staff and Jim, they came down one workout just to have, basically a check in. I mean, everybody kind of knew what we had to work on, so it wasn't too difficult. It was just the work just had to be put in.
There was a lot made about work ethic last year. I thought it was cap. I thought it was bullshit. But was
Yeah.
there an extra gear? Is there something? Because everyone can get better, right? Everyone can
Yeah.
take something a little bit more seriously. Everyone can adjust small things. Was there an adjustment to how he approached workouts? Did you notice?
I think he's always approached workout the right way, but he was a little more intentional on. He just worked harder than he had ever worked before, and it was just his level was at a more consistent basis. I mean, if you a lot of people don't recall, like, the after his rookie season, he had that crazy ankle injury. So, and they played a little bit longer into the season, so we weren't able to get into our workouts as quickly as we were this last off season, just because you kind of had to slowly improve, push him, just because that ankle was still so tender. But this year, he just hit the ground running, and he was very focused and very intent. But that's, maturity, being 20, being 21, and now being
Mhm.
20, 22. So he's definitely just growing in that aspect as well.
And it shows, like, clearly. It showed from training camp. It was like right away there was a step where maybe last year you're like, could he be the best player on the team? To boom, he's the best player on the team. And there's some really good players on that team. There was a coaching shift for the Toronto Raptors, and I was very, very pleased about it. I think I messaged you right away and I said, this guy is awesome for Scottie. He's going to be great for Scottie. And I messaged Jason the same thing. How was the communication like with Jama and Darko and the new coaching staff? And, how do you feel it has helped Scottie's game? Because a lot can be said about the work you put in with him, but the rest of the year he's with the team. A lot of it is with the team, what they're working on, how they're setting him up in the offense. So what was the conversation like with you, and how do you feel that the coaching staff has unlocked him, or do you think they've unlocked him?
I had a couple conversations with Darko. I talked to Masai and Bobby. Everyone was just saying shooting, like that's just, everybody was on the same page as far as we really need to improve his shooting. And that was obvious. Everybody could understand that. He's seeing different coverages and different things like that. So I think they've given him the ball, given him the opportunity to. We're all still learning about Scottie. Like, he's still learning about his game. And I think that's why Darko was such a great fit, just because it was going to be about developing them. So I'm still learning a lot about just how we can continue to improve him. And I think the staff, they're on the same page too. But I think now there's a like the clearest direction that it's been, since he's been with the Raptors. So I think that helps a lot too. So
No OG, no Pascal. Fred's gone. A lot of teammates going in and out. How difficult is it to lose so many guys you came into the league with? I mean, I know this might shock you, but do you realize that Gary Trent Jr. and Chris Boucher get traded? He's the longest tenured Raptor on the team. Is there like an emotional toll to that? How do you keep him grounded? Because he's 22 years old. This is not easy.
I mean, it's difficult. I think it's difficult from a bunch of standpoints. It's difficult off the court. These are people who you he basically grew up with. So I think that part of it is difficult. I think the on-court is difficult too because we've seen him be in the league for 3 years and his role has dramatically shifted. I'm not saying year to year, like he was like kind of like the secondary, you know, playmaker, and then he shifted to being. They had him playing point a couple games, and now with Yaku out, he's playing a lot of five. It's good and bad, It's you may see his learning curve, go up and down just because he's faced with different things. But I think for him to be who we all think that he's gonna be, these are things that are necessary if he's gonna be like the centerpiece of the solar system of what the Raptors are. These are good things. It's a good experience for him, good things for him to learn. And when you're pushed in this level where or how he's pushed, it's only gonna help him grow. So it's the business, you know what I mean? So he's learning about that. He's learning a lot on the court, he's learning a lot off the court, but these are all positive things to help Scottie become the best person he's gonna be.
Yeah. When you lose teammates, that sucks. A lot has been made of his relationship with OG. It's fairly transparent on the court when the two met up when they played New York that the bond was like, it was deep, right? You could see it. Like you could always see it on the court that they had a real connection. But when players go out, players come in. What was your reaction to the Raptors trading for Immanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett? You and I have talked off the record about the types of players that Scottie would thrive with. I had a really interesting reaction to Immanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett. What was your reaction?
I think it was good. I think New York was kind of in a weird place with RJ where they had him playing in the corner, you know what I mean, holding the corner a lot of times, and that's not really playing to the player's strengths. I think you've seen him. I've really been impressed with how he moves off the ball, and his attack and transition. So I think that I think that he's a good fit, especially when you get Scottie on posting up, and then you have a guy on the weak side who can really cut and shift the defense. Same thing with Quickley. I think he's an amazing talent. I don't think that he's like a point guard per se, but I think that from the second side, he can really stretch the defense and he can really attack. If the goal is, since the goal is for Scottie to be the main initiator of the offense, I think Scottie draws a lot of attention, and then he kicks it to both of those guys, and they're able to attack. You know what I mean, on the second side, and I think those guys are both great second side attackers.
A quick word from our sponsor. The Pendance Film Festival is happening February 22nd to 25th. It is a celebration of international films. It is a brilliant film festival in its 7th season. Prior to the COVID pandemic, it was the fastest growing film festival in the world. What is my affiliation with Pendance? What are they paying me to say this? Well, I am Pendance. I'm the festival director and founder of Pendance. It is my baby. And if you love great films, if you have a film lover in your life, this is a worthwhile event for you, happening in downtown Toronto at the Carlton Cinema, February 22nd to 25th. Make sure to check us out. Link is in the description below for tickets and passes. Tickets will go on sale soon. Passes are already on sale. Let's get to this.
You talked last year about the Jokic stuff. I think you were on with Amit Man and CJ Miles, and you were talking about it caught a lot of people. Whoa, did he say Nikola Jokic? In terms of the Denver offense and how it moves around Jokic, I've watched a lot of Jokic in my life, and I can't help but see like comparisons to how they use him and how the Raptors could use Scottie. Do you think that Immanuel Quickley can serve in some of the same places on the court as a Jamal Murray? Because he's not a prototypical point guard either, but he has some of that, primary, secondary qualities that I think IQ has.
I think it's a little bit different just because, I mean, the the Nuggets run a lot of stuff. Like I've seen, the Joker come off freaking Iverson cuts to, the mid post on the wing. I've seen they use him a lot of different ways, but I think Scottie going forward will probably have the ball in his hands from, starting on ball screens and different things like that. So it's a little bit different.
Mhm.
But I think the similarities are there where you have a unconventional guy who's initiating your offense,
Right.
and then you just and then it's okay for, I think some of the reasons why people didn't know if Quickley was a point guard, they didn't know like what type of point guard he was. But I think if he doesn't have to be the main initiator of your offense, I think it works. I think it works really well.
The Knicks tried this thing with IQ in the second year, and his numbers dipped. And the Raptors are doing pretty much the same thing with IQ this year, and his numbers have dipped in Toronto. And that's basically like trying to run him as a 25, 27 assist percentage kind of guy, like doing a lot more of the passing. And I
Mhm.
agree with you that long term, he's really like, he's going to blitz above the break. Like he's going to be bombing 30-foot threes. And I think that that's sort of like, that creates all the angles that you need to really unlock a guy like Scottie. And I think the two can just kill it in two-man action. So I was very, very excited. I love OG Anunoby. Like I always wanted to see OG and Scottie win championships and hang banners together. And you gotta get something to lose something, or you gotta lose something to get something. And I thought IQ was just perfect for Scottie's game. Speaking of, all the different things that Scottie's had to do, I agree. He's been a center, a power forward, a small forward. He started at every single position, defensively, offensively. He's been fourth option, fifth option, first option, second option. It's crazy. But I also think it's great. It's great because if you want to see the player that you have, right? The player you have. You consider Detroit right now. Do they know what Kay Cunningham looks like as a second option? They do not. Do they know what he looks like as a fourth option? They don't. They only know him in one role. I think the Raptors know Scottie in like 100 different roles. But now, no Pascal, no Fred. I think the role is starting to become a lot clearer. The path is starting to become a lot simpler. How does that change or simplify your role as a trainer in terms of the types of things you got to prepare him for season to season?
It doesn't change much, because he knows how he wants to play and he knows things that he wants to do on the court. So it doesn't change a lot. It's just I think the biggest thing is the experience, understanding how to read the coverages, and coverages they change from game to game, and it's a lot more attention to detail because different teams you're the main focus on. If you want to beat the Raptors, you gotta stop this guy. So I think it's gonna be a lot more cerebral, understanding how to pick your spots in the game, and having a real sense of what's going on with the team. They started so slow against Memphis. Maybe that's a time, Scottie, when you just like kind of take over the offense until everybody gets in a rhythm. If guys are going like how we were going in Golden State when everybody was hitting threes, or with Miami, everybody's hitting, the ball's moving, maybe you can just chill and just wait until, the fourth quarter to turn it on. Or, it's 3 or 4 possessions where you guys haven't gotten a good shot. Can you get to the line? Can you do something to get to the line or get us an easy basket? So it's like those little things with the game, like the game within the game that he's going to continue to get better at. And I think those are things that only experience can help. He's always going to do the on the court stuff. He's always going to, work on his game extra, shooting, ball handling, all that other stuff. But it's just realizing how the defense is playing you, and, seeing, I've seen this coverage before. I haven't seen this coverage before. You know what I mean? Once you get those reps in those situations, then that'll really help the game. Ease the game for him. And I think he sees it. I think he sees it. He sees it better than 99% of the players in the NBA. Like he sees what plays. Sometimes, like he might. I think on Monday he had the ball on the block and he tried to skip it all the way to the corner. It was just bad execution of the play. It might have been like he's seeing the rotations before the rotations even happen. And you saw it in the fourth quarter where he basically like willed them to. The third quarter where he basically like kept them in the game and got them back into within striking distance, just by identifying the mismatches and attacking the mismatches. And a couple guys missed a couple easy ones, but it was still always the right play. So
No, you're
think,
right. I mean,
yeah,
finishing talent around, on the team. Sometimes you start looking at potential assists. I don't know if you track potential assists, but it's crazy how many potential assists he racks up every single game, and the shot quality on those assists. Like I say, like assists are not made equal. Like there are a lot of guys who just get like 8, 9 assists out of the system and the flow of the offense just by hot potatoing it. But he
yeah,
creates like serious advantages. Like he's shifting the defense. And I couldn't help but notice yesterday. I've been sort of watching these Indiana Pacers games, and I'm watching like the Pacers drop it into Pascal, and he just kind of like pushes it out, and I'm like, yeah, it's the right play, but there's something else that's missing on that play that maybe a superstar would have like done something to the defense, shifted it before molded it a little bit. So he does all of that. It's just you can't make shots for other guys. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how much that playmaking talent is going to be expanded, obviously, by more offensive talent. Like I've always said, like Scottie's the type of guy where the better the players around him, the better he's going to look. That's not always the case for some guys. Some guys, the better players around them, it doesn't matter.
yeah. But yeah, for sure. And I think nah, as he grows, like he'll be able to get guys shots, and he'll be able to get guys shots even in a more in the his shot their shot creation will be a lot better, like the assist will be a lot better. So no, I agree 100%.
There's a talk about AAU sometimes where you have a prospect who's really in the gym working 6 hours, 5 hours a day, a guy like AJ Dabanso or Cooper Flag, like these 5-star type recruits. And then you have their teammates who aren't that. Like sometimes their teammates aren't that. And the right play is to pass it to that guy. This is technically the right play, but then how do you choose? No, you know what? I'm the pro. I'm the guy who's going to be McDonald's All-American. I got to go do this. And there's been a frequent charge against Scottie and a criticism that what if he did what he does in some of these fourth quarters for an entire game? Could he rack up 50, 60 points? Do you understand that like criticism? And what would you say to it?
Yeah, for sure. I think anybody who's watching see how dominant he becomes at certain points of the game. That's fair criticism. But I don't think anyone, and I don't. You'll probably can track this more than I can. But this guy rotates crazy on defense. This guy is all over on defense. So it's fair. But I think that's another part of his growth. It's gonna happen at some point. But I think he's still just learning. He's still just getting better. But I think his effort on the defensive end, like a lot of guys, like a lot of guys in this league are scoring in the high 20s, but I don't think a lot of guys are responsible for guarding other teams' best player. And I don't think a lot of guys like give the type of defensive effort that he does on a daily basis. And I think that's the good thing about him. Like the first time they played Memphis, like he started out on Jama, and then fourth quarter he was guarding Jaren Jackson. You know what I mean? Like name another superstar that's doing that, or another guy in the NBA that's doing that. So I know we
Ja had
talk.
a bad game. He had a
Yeah,
pretty
and I
bad
mean
game.
Steph had a bad game too.
Yes, he did.
You know what I mean? So
He oh my God. Like that was one of the do you okay, hold on, this might blow your mind. I don't know if you saw this. Did you know that was the worst game of Steph's life?
yeah, I saw your tweet.
Okay.
Of course I did. I see everything.
That was crazy, man. Like, I mean, I was so proud of him because I know, here's the thing. There are guys who can defend. There are guys who want to defend. There are guys who like they enjoy defending. Scottie enjoys defending. I noticed about him like very early. He gets like a pleasure of doing that. And I talk a lot about, the soul of the game, the game that I grew up loving, the players that I loved, guys who don't cheat the game. To me, Scottie's like a guy who doesn't cheat the game on that end. And I remember having a conversation with Rasha Nesterovic, if you remember who Rasha Nesterovic was in 2006. And he talked about Tim Duncan. This notion of when your star player, whatever your star player believes, that's what your team sort of like believes. So if your star player is out there guarding Steph Curry and sacrificing his legs on offense, then your second guy can't say shit. If the coach chews out your star player and the star player is like, yep, my bad. If your star player is coachable, so that's one element of leadership. But there's also other elements of leadership too. I think a lot of questions have been asked recently since Pascal Siakam has been traded. Fred VanVleet's gone. How is Scottie as a leader? He's been asked about this directly. He's just like, I try to be happy. you know, I don't think he's necessarily honed the perfect scripted response to how he leads, but you've seen him for years. How does Scottie lead? Who is Scottie Barnes as a leader?
Again, like he's still 22 and he's still finding his voice on, how to express um, things the right way because he always wants to do things the right way. So I think he leads first by example. He comes in every single day, does his work. Um, and we always talk about never being too high, never being too low. And I think he's done a great job of maintaining that temperament throughout this year. I think it was a lot better than last year, and I think it was a lot better than the year before. I think that he leads again first with his effort, first with through him just being himself. I think he's also just gonna continue to find his voice and his place on the team.
Mhm.
Um, on and again, all of this stuff is just it's a process. So I think everyone understands now. I think it was a little bit everybody didn't really know like whose team it was, but I think now we have a clear uh,
I knew.
uh I mean I knew too, but everyone has a clear, direction on who's the guy. So I think he accepts that responsibility, and it's it's just a learning process.
Does he need to be more vocal? Like, I mean, I understand that it will come. It doesn't come
Yeah,
right away for everybody. It didn't come right away for Kevin Garnett. It didn't come right away for LeBron James. It does take some time, but does he
yeah.
need to do it at some point? Like that, and by vocal, I don't mean punching. I don't mean punching, Jordan Poole in the face. I mean like, if there's a problem with a teammate, do you need to be the one to stand up and say, "We're not doing this today"?
I don't like to speak on things that I'm not around, so I'm not around them and as a team, so I don't really understand. I don't know like their full team dynamic. I don't know if LeBron ever did that, and to say that it was LeBron a bad leader, you know what I mean? So it's like every guy's he's gonna find his way. My whole philosophy is I don't like to limit him to you need to do this. Like I want you to really be who you want to be and
Mm.
find that and do what it takes to win. So if that's what it takes, then that's maybe what it takes.
I think that's a fair point. He does do whatever his team needs him to do. There's a lot of criticism recently about Giannis Antetokounmpo not wanting to set screens. They would run two-man action. Adrian Griffin gets fired. That's okay. I love the fact that Scottie will do whatever is required of him to win. He will set screens. He will box out. He does all the dirty work. I love that, and I love the fact that he is my superstar. You have often said 15% to me. This is like a
But
catchphrase for you, 15%. Every single time I see this, and one time I was like, "Is it 16% yet?" You still coming back to 15%. Of course, for those who
yeah,
don't know, it's basically Brian's way of saying that Scottie is nowhere close to hitting what he will eventually be. Now, just for context, 15% is, I don't know, a top 20 player in the NBA right now, pretty much solid
yeah.
all-star type player. He should be. I think he would be an all-star if the team was a little bit better. What does 25% look like?
The thing that I'm really trying to get him to get to is to shoot 21 shots a game with the same percentages. And I think a lot of that is just again what I said earlier, understanding the moments in the game, where you may need to get a couple shots up just so you can stay in a rhythm within the offense. And then the free throw line. 25%, he'll be at like an 85% free throw shooter, and he'll be there 8 times a game. I think sometimes he gets fouled, and it just doesn't look like he's fouled because he's so strong.
He doesn't bait. He doesn't
Yeah,
do all the flailing and
I think
yeah.
I think I think we'll get to the line there, and I think and then he's got to play off of 2 feet a little bit more. I think he's doing a lot better job of it now. But I think a lot of times he was playing off of 1 foot, kind of avoiding the contact. But
Mm,
I think playing off 2 feet, getting to the line like 8 to 9 times a game,
mhm.
and then maintaining his percentages. I think he's always going to be a 48% from the field guy, no matter what. I think the challenge is just going to be not the challenge. I think the next step is just for us to get him to where he's taking 22 shots a game. And if he's at the same percentages, he's shooting 20 to 22 shots a game, and he's at the line 8 times a game, and he gets to 83%. We're at 27 points easy. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you're a math guy, so I know you did that pretty fast.
That's 25%.
So yeah, so that's 25%.
So next year I gotta talk to you about 27 point per game Scottie, and then we're gonna ask what's 35%, and then we'll just this will be a yearly tradition. Every January we just talk about what the next 10,
What percentage
15%.
we're at?
What percentage
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, I say yeah. We're just gonna see what percentage we're operating at.
I love this brick by brick approach that you have. Now I'm curious. Someone who maybe jumped the gun a little bit, but I was so proud of him, Darko Rajakovic, going on that rant that went super viral.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. That's outrageous. Respect for all stars and all of that, but we have star players on our team as well. How's possible as Scottie Barnes, who is all-star caliber player in this league, he goes every single time to the rim with force and trying to get to the rim without flopping and not trying to get foul calls. He gets 2 free throws for the whole game. Scottie Barnes is gonna be all-star. He's gonna be the face of this league. And what's happening over here during whole season, I've been holding it back. It's a complete
That rant went
crap.
super viral. How did you feel hearing a coach so emphatically defend Scottie? Like you could tell he meant it. That wasn't an act. Like he meant it. Calling him the face of the league, saying he's going to be an all-star. What did that mean to you as his trainer?
Nah, I mean that's how I feel. I felt the same way that Darko does. Darko is basically just saying this is a player that really does everything the right way. You know, like he plays the game the right way. He gives his full effort. So if he's getting to the line and it's a 50-50, at some point he's got to get some of those. So I think that was his main message. I think that he was also conveying that he really believes in Scottie, like everyone in the organization, everybody around him does. So I mean, that's exactly how I feel about him. I think that's how Scottie feels about himself as well. So I just think that it was just like, yo, like this kid should I mean, you can look at every game and you could say like he should be to the line a little bit more. And I think that's also that's a reputation, you know. Once you really get to that different level, you get a different, you know what I mean, level of calls. I think you seen it the other night when Anthony Edwards was talking about Shea, you know what I mean? Like it's 2 different type of players though, because Anthony Edwards gets hammered too, but it just doesn't look like a foul because he's just so big and strong. I think Scottie has a lot of bit of that, where Shea's a little bit more wiry. I think Shea does a really good job of like intentionally like using his ball fakes and his fakes and things like that, getting to the line. But if you know what I mean, like sometimes Anthony, like Scottie, straight line driving people and people are really like pushing him off his spot. You know what I mean? But you can't really see it. You may see it like you may see it with his posture. If it was a, you know what I mean, 6'4", 190, 200-pound guy, like you're gonna see the reaction.
He'd be flying. So maybe the goal for you is to make him less strong going into next season, so he'll fly around a little bit more. Good news for Scottie. He gets selected among the 41 players to be competing for the USA Select Team. 12 roster spots available. I think he should be on it. What would it mean in terms of your planning for him next summer if he's more involved in the USA program, a program that he's already been a part of in the U16?
He should have been on it last year, I feel like.
Yes,
just
he could. Yes, he should have.
I mean, I think just because he didn't have the year that everyone thought he should have, but he's perfect for the international game because he can, especially now that he can shoot the ball, just because he's you need guys who can really think the game on that level, because that's the only thing that the European teams are doing. They're thinking the game, you know what I mean? Like they're playing, like they might get to the 4th side. They change sides of the floor. You need guys that be able to really lock down those very dynamic guards and being able to, you know, I think with the switchability that the United States tries to do so much, like a lot of times you get caught with little on the big, and the bigs in the international level, they will finish at a very high level. So I think he'd be great on the United States team. But I think the being around the guys who are going to be on it, that would be an incredible experience. What it does to his body, you know, I think that he's already, he's creeping around like 37 minutes a game. So, you know what I mean? Like, will he go into year 4, you know what I mean, with a little bit more wear and tear? Maybe. Will he not have the opportunity to work as much individually as we would like him to? Maybe. It all determines on like their playoff run as well, if they can make it or what happens with that. So there's a lot of different factors, but I think it's so many. There's good sides of. I mean, I think you said the same thing. I feel like the same way you feel about the All-Star. Like, would we be ecstatic that he freaking makes the All-Star team? Yes. Does he need a week off? Yes. You know what I mean? So it's the same way about the summer. Like, does he need like to really work on his body and to really like prepare for like to be the main guy in the NBA season? Yes. But will it be valuable to watch and to work with Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry every single day? Yes. So
I'm much more pushing for him to make that select team than I am the All-Star game. The All-Star game, of course, just a grind. It's the weekend. You lose it, he's probably going to end up going down there anyway or doing something else. But I think he could use the rest recovery. But playing around those players, it's something. Like, I mean, actually, both things. It changes your perspective and status around the league, right? That guy was on Team USA, the senior team, or that guy was an all-star. It's a notch on your resume of something that separates you from your teammates. Frankly, Scottie talks about, jokingly mentioned on the game that was on national TV, how he wouldn't mind getting into the gym with Vince Carter. If there was a player in the league, past or present, in his prime, that you could lock him in the gym with for an entire week, food, water available, but they're in the gym for the whole week, who's that player and why?
Kevin Durant.
But what's more rare about Scottie Barnes is his IQ for the game, his length, his enthusiasm for the game. All of that stuff shines bright when you watch him play, but he has something a little extra as far as just seeing the game a little slower, and that's rare for a guy. How old is he? 19, 20? I mean, he knows how to play the right way, and he's only going to get better.
Just because he's so efficient scoring in the half court. I think Scottie takes similar shots, but I think Kevin Durant is like a master in half court offense and how to be efficient, how to get to your spots, and how to play the game at a high level that doesn't require a lot of energy. Like, he's very efficient with every move that he does. He's not wasting a lot of energy getting to where he needs to be. Every night he's 15 he's like 12 for 17, 13 for 18, things like that. So
that's the crazy thing. So I'm actually, yesterday I was talking to someone and I was like, yo, get me that KD interview. I know 3 people who know him and I'm asking all of them to do it. Like, get me a KD interview. I need to sit down with him. So if I do sit down with him this year, that's probably the second question I'm asking is, will you please work with Scottie Barnes? But I think he would actually do it. He is one of those players. He believes in Scottie a lot. I think he really is one of those guys who he likes to give back. And I think if someone wants to set that up somewhere, putting it out in the universe, make it happen, I think Scottie would really benefit from it a lot. Talking about greats, Tim Grover, one of the greatest trainers of all time. He's talked a lot about how he broke down Kobe's game, Michael Jordan's game tape, tracking their steps, tracking, which foot they planted off of, how many miles they ran every single game, crazy stuff like that to train them. How do you break down Scottie's game? Is there some specific process that you have? And is there something that you've learned over the last year that's made you better at your job? Because I've always admired just how open-minded and creative you are. So
I'm big on mindset, so I'm all about with Scottie. I just want Scottie to really believe in himself on the offensive end, because when he makes so many great plays with the basketball that we just need him to be hyper aggressive trying to score the basketball. So, for instance, like 1 week I'll send him all of his makes in transition. Like, every time he was in transition, I'll just say, you need to be more aggressive in transition. Nobody can stop you. And then I might send him all of his ball screens where he's making plays. I was like, you're really good in the ball screen. Like, just things like that, just to reiterate like how good you are in these instances, and we need you to continue to be in these spaces. And throughout the season, I just remind him because he's so good at so many different things. I just remind him the things that he's really good at, and he needs to continue to get to those spots. Like a big thing is just creating mismatches. Getting that step up, get into the blocking, making someone come help, or you going to score over a little guy. So just reminding him the other day, I told him about Memphis game. I was like, bro, you got to shoot 1 or 2 transition threes a game. That's gonna help you. Like if you can shoot. And then he shot one, you know what I mean? So I'm like, so just reminding him about the things, just because a lot's being thrown at him. And I mean, he watches film. We watch film together. So he watches film, and but just reminding him, you know what I mean, how you're successful in different instances, and not to forget about this spot. Or you might have got a turnover there because you should have shot at that right now. So I'm not like a overly bearing person, but I just want him. He's figuring it out for himself, and he's going through so much. But I just have my way of just lightly reminding him who he is. Like I think he had a rough stretch. I just reminded him that he's one of the best players in the world. Like don't forget that and wear that shit. That's just an attitude on how you walk, how you lace your shoes up. Like you the best. Like it's not that many people who are the best at something in the entire world.
At 22, if he ever needs a little extra, confidence, little extra reminder of how good he is, this guy, me, in 2007, anointed Kevin Durant as one of the future greats. I was so adamant that the Portland Trail Blazers would regret it for the rest of their lives. And for pretty much KD's entire career, from Seattle to OKC to Golden State, he was my favorite player. He remained my favorite player until
the Toronto Raptors select Scottie Barnes.
So basically, that was the torch passing in my mind, and I definitely did not do that for a guy that I thought was going to be a role player. I thought Scottie was going to be one of the all-time greats, and I see nothing but that in him, and he can go 0 for 50. We have his back because we know, I know that he's going to be one of the best to ever do it. Speaking of struggles, he came out this season 39% shooting from 3, crazy. He had a game where he had 15 3-pointers attempted. People had to do a double take. They were like, what? Is there a screw up on ESPN's box score? He went 7 for 15 in that game. I infamously jinxed him last year with my stupid reel, and I did it again. I gotta make a video about his 3-point shooting, and then that day it all ended. He's 29% since then, and I'm so sorry. Again, I will never talk about his 3-point shooting again in a video. What are you seeing different in January? It's not just his 3-point shooting, it's his free throw shooting. His free throw shooting is down to 64, 65%. I think he had a really good game, a couple games ago, but it's below 70. He's never been below 70 as an NBA player. Is it dead legs on offense? Is it the emotional processing of losing so many teammates? What do you think it is?
I think this is the hardest part of the NBA season. We're in game 40 to the All-Star break. That's when it's really hard. So I think that of course everybody's tired, you know what I mean? It's not just him. Everybody around the league, you see a lot more 100, 108 to 110 games now. It's not as many 120, 130. I mean, last night the Jazz and I think Clippers were stupid. But you see everything going a little bit down. That's just because guys are tired. I think that's part of it. I think his role has changed so much where, he was holding the corner a lot of the times when Dennis and Pascal, OG was there. Sometimes he's at the 5. Sometimes you don't get those same opportunities to float around the perimeter because you got 4 other perimeter guys around on the team. And then I also think that defense are playing him a lot differently. I think it's all of those things. And I think as his role changes, he may see fit that it may be, more productive for him to, force a switch or get on the block end so other guys can get shots and different things like that. So it's a culmination of all of those things. So he'll get there, but I think this is just how the season is. It's things are gonna. This is just how NBA season is. You're gonna have highs and lows, and I think this is just not a low. This is just another challenge that he has to has to get through. But I think that we're starting to see he's coming out of it. I think these 3 days off is going to be good just because it's tough to guard the other team's best player and to run around. And I mean, like I told him, like he's like free safety. He's like Ed Reed, the way he's like rotating on defense. So I mean, he had 6 blocks the other day. So like he's doing a lot. And you know, I think when Yacht comes back, that'll relieve some of the banging. Like we saw it last year. Like me and you talked about it. Like a lot of like it's hard to like continue to perform when you gotta be, you know, banging with freaking 270-pound guys and different things like that.
But
So
he never complained about it, right? He just kept
yeah,
doing it because that's who he is, because he knows he has to do it for his team. I know you're running out of time really soon, so I just want to get a couple questions in terms of his pick and roll ball handling. It's gotten a hell of a lot better. Obviously, if you're going to be an
I
initiator,
told you, bro. I told you. You don't fucking listen to me, dog.
I listen
told
to you.
No,
It has gotten a lot
I
better
told
this
you. You're
year.
like, yo, he's got to work on his ball. And I'm like, bro, they just got to put him in the ball in the ball screen.
Okay,
And then this year you also said, "Oh, do you think he'll be able to handle the pressure on the ball screen?" I'm like, no, it's not like they're blitzing him. They're not blitzing him yet. So all they gotta do is switch. So it's easy.
fair.
And and then you see like middle ball screen, he's always snaking to the weak side, hitting Yak on the pocket. Like it's crazy.
He presents a ton of advantages as a pick and roll ball handler. I mean, he can flip it. He can also be the screener in that. I get it. It's something that all NBA teams run. 2 things. Number 1, what advantages does he have over, say, a guy like a smaller guard, a more prototypical initiator? And then
He can see every spot on the floor.
that's it.
He can see he can make the play. Like a lot of it is, can you make this play? He can make the play to the weak side corner, or he can make to the play to the guy shaking up to the weak side corner if that presents himself. He can also, even when in drop coverages, bro, he put so much pressure on the opposing big that's why Yak was getting those pocket passes, because Yak on the guard is like a mismatch. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and now that you're seeing that the floor is spread a little bit better now, and you have a weak side cutter, you have some guys, you got Gary and Immanuel on the floor, that like now when Yak comes back and it's Yak and Scottie in the ball handling, and now you have a cutter and then you have 2 like really good shooters, then now you're gonna really see it open up because there's so much space on the floor.
Do you not agree that he needs to get a little bit lower on his dribble? Like,
Of
okay,
course.
okay. So
course, but
because I saw him attack, okay, Tracy McGrady's uncommon as hell.
But you also got to remember that Tracy McGrady was able to get to where he could because off his left hand, it was cash, like 50% hezzy pull. So that, like, Scottie's not shooting as many off the dribble threes yet.
Mhm.
So, like, I agree with you 100%. He's got to get lower. And that's a weight room thing that's going to continue to progress, that he's going to get strong and able to sit down. But once he starts shooting threes off the dribble, like he can get to wherever he is. And that's what the next step is.
So getting lower in the stance is like, I mean, like I think the ball comes up too high when he's dribbling. That's what we mean. Because like I saw him attack a center, who am I thinking about? And he poked it away. And I'm like, that can't happen. Because it's just like, you're so large, right? It's just the physics of it. You're 6'8", 6'9". If you got the ball super high, there's just way too much space. And that might be, you know, why Darko has mentioned at times like that he's worried about him being the only ball handler on the court, even though we have seen fantastic results with him being the only ball handler on the court, even when he was a rookie. But I understand, you know, the concern of like he needs to just get a little bit tighter. It's not even lower, it's tighter. Like you see Ben Simmons handling the basketball. It's closer to his body, and that allows for more room to manipulate.
But you also see Kevin Durant having a ball way out here too, though.
So that's long arms.
But still, like, do you want a Ben Simmons type ball handler, or do you want a Kevin Durant type ball handler?
That is actually a worthwhile question, bro. Because I'll tell you right now, Ben Simmons is a friggin' great ball handler.
But he's not doing anything to create an advantage for himself. He's just going straight line drive this way, straight line drive that way, right? And he's not driving to score. He's not going to score.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So you're saying like the wider you are, the higher you are, the more you can manipulate space.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
get more wiggle, and if you're so low, it may be hard to get into your shot too.
All right,
I
I
think
got
that
you. I
no,
got
I
you.
agree. I agree 100% that he does need to play a little bit lower, and I think that was a big thing that he needed to do with his shot to engage his legs a little bit more and stay on
Right.
balance. But I think that it's gonna happen. But I think
If he
that
does that Iverson pull next year, I'm buying you dinner, man. Like that's just like, "Look, do it." What do you have planned for the rest of the year? I love the fact that you guys work throughout the year. You're clearly in Toronto right now, enjoying the snow here. Not a big deal for you. You played in Boston. No, you don't care about the snow here. Firmly on the record, I think they can make the play in. The East is soft. I think that I would love to see them face off against Indiana in the play in. Whether he makes the All-Star team, not All-Star team, what's on the docket? What's on the bucket list for like the next 39 games? We got to fix this.
I think we just got to keep him in a good rhythm. But we also have to monitor how much we're working extra because his body is taking a bigger toll than what it has in previous years, and we don't want to exhaust him, which would, you know what I mean? That's when you start getting injuries and different things like that. So I think we have to monitor like how much we work, the duration of the time that we spend in the gym. But we still got to keep him in the rhythm. I think that's something that I'm able to do really well is when I'm here, like everything feels good. Like as far as his ball handling, the shooting, everything feels good, and he's in a much better rhythm. So just keep him in the rhythm and keep him focused on the day-to-day work, and just to understand that we're just learning and trying to learn as much as we can and gather information and just continue to get better. And we gotta get to the playoffs because I think the experience that these guys will gain being a young team in the playoffs, it will continue to just speed up the timeline, because I don't think nobody ever thought that he would be who he is right now.
I
I
do.
mean, you didn't even think that he would have this kind of year that he's having.
I thought he would be 20, but I didn't see, dude. I did not see 6 box plus minus at all. He has recently gone down to 4.5.
You gotta
I could have seen 4.
You gotta explain to me box plus minus because I googled it and it's very hard for me to understand.
We'll talk about it for sure. We will. Value of a replacement is like the stat that people use to gauge who's the MVP in the league. Michael Jordan led it year after year. He's top 10. Top 10. Tell him that. Tell him he's a top 10 player. He is a top 10 guy, and he should never, ever lose confidence in that jump shot. I've noticed a few times, come out, he takes a couple threes. If he misses one, it's going to be a less voluminous three-point shooting night. He just needs to trust it. He's really great. I am amazed. You're right. You're right. I thought he'd get there someday. I didn't see it this soon. I'm super proud of both of you for the work that you're doing. I'm super proud of him. Let him know this channel loves him, and we will continue to support him forever and ever and ever. Where can people find you? What do you want to plug? Is there something that you're currently working on that you would like our audience to know about? Our audience, of course, loves you. Everyone's been asking me for weeks and weeks, when is Brian coming on? So let them know.
Nah, I don't have anything to plug. My Instagram is bmacfisher. I'm gonna try. Eventually, I'm gonna start trying to do some training here, just for the kids. When I'm here, that'll probably be next year. But I just think there's a lot of talent. I went to go see Crestwood, the girls, bro. Those girls are good, bro. But nah, I appreciate everything that you guys do. I appreciate the channel. I just appreciate the openness and the honesty. I think your temperament is a lot better this year. We like you, and that could be a metric that shows why your channel is growing so much this year, because your temperament is.
It's easier for me because this media space is not tearing down my favorite player and talking shit about him all day. It's also easier for me that now some of the trades that I've been wanting for 1.5 to 2 years to happen have finally happened. So I'm in a better place, but also, yes, spiritual growth is a great thing. Meditate, yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for always supporting. Thanks for the super chats. You come into our lives once in a while, you drop a super chat and everyone loses their mind like, hey, Brian, what's up? So I appreciate you, and thank you so much for being a constant source of inspiration for me as well. I say that honestly, like I follow your posts on Instagram, and it's always like once a day you post something and I'm like,
That's something I could implement into my life. So thank you for that too. You're always helping people grow, and thank you for helping our young superstar grow. Yeah.
No problem, man. I appreciate you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, man. Bye.
All right. Bye.